Okay. Uh, looks like I'm live now. That's cool. Alright, so I'm just gonna give it a minute or two to make sure everything's right, and then I will start. Uh, okay. Yep, looks like that's all set up. Cool. I can time people out. Wow. Finally have executive powers. Nice. Alright. Anyway, that's not really that important. But, all that being said, this is the, second one of these streams. I started doing this, to force myself to implement a 2v2 ROM hack that you can kind of see here. See if I can get that done before the end of the year. I probably won't, especially because yesterday I felt like crap, and I did not make any progress. Well, that's not entirely true. But I still haven't done this, and I recorded a bit of information about projectiles and rearranged some of the notes I had. So, as we found out on the first ROM hacking stream, projectiles use 420 1056 in base 10 RAM addresses, which makes them identical to player characters in that front. So honestly, they probably could have health, among other things. Yeah. So, the main stuff I found was looking at the initialization of projectiles, but I still have to find the routine in which they are initialized, so that's something I still have yet to do. You can see here the lookup block, the sprites, most things barring character ID are created during the routine for the projectile. What that means is the character ID is, I believe, initialized at runtime, or when the game first loads in. Same with all the other generic stuff for the character. But the stuff like what lookup block it uses, whether or not that's the player's lookup block or the stand's lookup block, what sprites it uses, all that stuff, the frame data routine, everything else set up during the projectile routine itself. So the big thing I have to do now is research and look into how that routine works. What routine that is, actually. Analyze it. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Alright, I think I have something here, knife in it. Yep. So if I had to guess, right here is the end of the routine. Or no, 619C420 is the start of the routine for initializing projectiles. I think. Alright. Yeah, checks for initialization here. Based on where it is in the ROM, at least, it seems easy to guess that this is where it would be initialized normally. Alright. Yeah. I think that seems right, because... Well, let me just check when it stops at this breakpoint here to see if any of the essential data for the projectile is involved there. Because usually anything around the 619 range is, from personal experience, universal routines, usually utilized by more than one character. So let me just see what kind of data they have here before the JMP, or the JSR. R0, R9, 6218308. D8A70. Let me just quickly double check to see if that's the frame data for knives. I'll turn on FBARR for that purpose. Another stream? Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get this done on time. I probably won't, but worth a shot anyway. Okay, here's the world. Eventually it gets too high up. Because the adjustments to exposition. Oh, I thought it was done by now. Okay. Yep. Okay. Oh, actually, another reliable way I could check is just, encoding overloaded already? That's crazy. Yeah. So if it does the JSR, yeah, it stores the last address in PR. So actually, yeah, PR in name. So instead, let me just disable this, set the breakpoint for that, restart, and try with a different projectile. Oh, this runs... Okay, so this runs for much more than just projectiles, I think. Let me just quickly jot that down. Yep, okay. So that's at a different routine, because the PR is 616E1AA. Maybe it's worth even booting up Ghidra. Take a look at this. I haven't used Ghidra very much, so I'm pretty inexperienced with it, but we'll see. Well, I mean, I don't need FB Neo for right now, so maybe I can close that. That would help a bit. Let me just check something real quick. Okay. Nah, the PR is still the same. BPN 6160B20. doesn't stop there, like I thought. Okay. So this is clearly... Alright. Damn. Okay. I just take note of where the knives seem to begin initializing. Which seems like it would be right here. Well, knife-specific stuff. This is where I imagine all the stuff for knives are set up, starting with 6160B20. But we can also look into other things, like when the character ID is assigned, lookup block, all that stuff. So that's definitely worth looking into, too. Oh, now I don't even remember what the lookup block was. What address it was. I can't believe I forgot that already. Just in case you're not sure what the lookup block is. With sprites and JoJo's, they wanted to save space by compressing them. And in order to do that, they have these, like, just large blocks of data for specific patterns of sprites that are frequently reused among these, individual sprites. Like, Dio sprites, they have a bunch of code for any repeating data that they want to use, just so that they save space and don't have to store the entire sprite in the game ROM every single time. That helps to compress things a lot and save space. It's not just JoJo's, obviously. It was first done in New Generation, just so that you know that it was better coded and implemented by not the JoJo team. Not that JoJo's is a horribly coded game. Well, no, it kinda is. But I couldn't do better, is what I should say. I don't know if I could do better. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is just set a watch point for when the lookup block is assigned to the first projectile address. I think that's a safe thing to try out. Just so that we get a better understanding of how the game determines between the player's lookup block, which we can do with Hull Horse, and the stand's lookup block, which we can do with Dio. Because stand-on knives use the stand's lookup block. I believe standoff knives do the same, but Hull Horse doesn't have a stand lookup block in the code, I don't believe. If he does, it should be the same as his regular one. Anyway, so I'll set a trace, create the script, and trace off, and then figure out how it gets initialized. This is only 6 bytes long, so it's a pretty small document. Okay. Oh, it RTS is back to... Ooh, okay. So a lot of the initialization is handled inside here. Interesting. Alright. I wonder if this isn't a routine exclusive to, Dio. Probably is, actually. Because it's pulling the lookup block from R3. Oh, but the lookup block from... Then maybe. Okay. No, it definitely is. Is it though? Okay, now I'm not so sure. I'm going very back and forth because I can't quite figure this out for certain. I'm gonna close Geedra for now, just because it's probably taking up a lot of space, and I don't need it. Hmm. Let me think. So you have R0 and R13 here. Yeah. The big issue is just... I'd have to figure out what SP is storing. So it's better off if I see if this is a routine shared by other projectile routines that use the stand, rather than just trying to figure out if they use anything else. Or yeah, the easiest way to figure out if that's a Dio exclusive routine or not would just be to involve Kakuin, for instance. Emerald Splash should use the... Nope, it's its own thing. Okay. So in this case, then, we have a base model we might be able to use. For how to initialize projectiles. Okay. So that does mean there's a lot of potential routines we could use as a base for this. Like obviously we have... what is it? Why can't I think of it? Yeah, we have basically any projectile in the game that we want. Hall horses, if that works for us. Dio, Kakuin, anything. But we don't really need... We just need to figure out what the essential parts of that are that we need to reference. So maybe the most... Like, the best thing I can do for myself is just, hop in at breakpoint 4 and just kind of look through every single thing it does. Okay, so it jumps to here. Okay. So at least if we want to create our own routine, obviously this part is going to be pivotal, implementing a jump to here, but we can at least use it as a frame of reference for how to include or create other projectiles. Maybe it would be helpful to document this stuff in Ghidra. I can try. Take a look and see what I can do with that. I just gotta hope my computer can handle this. Failed. Alright, so I think that means that Ghidra probably is not going to be able to run. Ghidra is just helpful for the purposes of documentation. Good way to break things down. But I think because I'm running the stream and 50 other bajillion things, let me close what I don't need at the moment. That might help. I don't think I need power tools. Exceptional initializer error, no. Well, that's bad. Oh, you're using Hydra? Is that a fork of Ghidra? Or no? That's a lot of forks of Ghidra, Jesus. Alright, yeah, because it crashed. Damn. Alright, I'll have to try again in another point. Well, I guess it's not essential, to have Ghidra. It might be helpful. I'll see if I can do that on my own time. Just because it looks like Ghidra is not gonna run with all the stuff I have open at the moment. Which, I guess I should have expected that. Okay. So breaking down everything that happens here, what's the first thing it pulls? 69BF 5B8. Alright. So in order to take a good look at what that is, I'm gonna hop over to Xcopy and just go straight in. BF5B8. Jump there. That's the lookup block. assigns the lookup block pointer to R3. Well, pointer to the... The pointer to the lookup address. Essentially a pointer to a pointer, I guess. Whoops. Alright, let's keep going. So next thing it does is 205DC30. Okay. And then 6044D38. I'm not sure what some of those things do, but we'll find out later on. It's possible I just don't remember what they were used for. And then we have this address. Let me just go and boot up a 10 file, take another look at what that is. 1D8A6C. Okay. So, if I had to guess, based on what this data looks like to me, I would go out on a limb and say this is velocity. Horizontal velocity. Because the way they typically do it is 4 bytes for x velocity, 4 bytes for y velocity. Because the y velocity is currently at 0, structurally it makes sense. In R4. And we'll just take note of what that value is. Okay. Then the next thing done is moving a value of 3f into R10, which could be used for an AND instruction, I think? Might be what they're trying to do with that. But let's take a look at the next essential value. Alright, storing that in R8. This I actually don't know what it's for. Hitboxes? No, it doesn't seem like it. That's what it could be? Could be the collision boxes? They kind of resemble the structure of a collision box, but they're also much further down, so I don't think they are collision boxes. Well, no, that's usually for hitboxes. Anyway, and they don't match. Because it's usually 617 B8, B8, or 617, B8CO, that stuff. So I don't think it's collision boxes, but I don't know what it would be in that case. But I'll document the pointer being stored in R8 all the same. Alright. So this is where it assigns the pointer into 2OTCD5C for later use, which makes sense. Actually, we would probably want to use some kind of, yeah. We probably would want to assign a Y velocity, but that's going to be harder to figure out than, well, yeah. So we would want to assign a Y velocity or an X velocity, but it would, instead be dependent on distance from character. I was thinking of referencing Third Strike, actually, to see how they handled it with all these, Flower and Sean's basketball. Because it's automatically locked on based on, distance from the opponent. But that game might handle Y velocity, or X and Y velocity differently. Not that we'd need an X velocity, or a Y velocity per se. Well, no, you would. You'd want a Y velocity adjust. And, have them run through the routine to make sure they don't hit the ground. So, there's actually a lot of things I'd have to check for. Boy. I thought of everything, but Jesus. I don't point things out well. Alright. Either way, still good to keep going. I'm not sure how much more I'm going to benefit from this, but definitely good to at least keep looking for a little bit longer. Moves that pointer into R3. What value does it move into R9? 6218308. I do want to check this actually. 218308. I have no idea what this is for. Not even a clue. Oh god. Oh. Oh god, dude. I feel like I'm choking myself out. This sucks. Ugh. It doesn't matter. Where was I again? Right. Probably still worth keeping in mind though. Okay. adds R4 to this. Or it adds 4 to that? What was this again? The pointer to X and Y velocity. Okay. That's interesting. Sorry, had to sneeze. Okay. Then it stores R3 in SP, which we already have a copy of. Okay. So that's clearly to pull the Y velocity, which, you know what, that makes sense. Stores that in SP. Then it's checking if... I need to back this up a bit. Oh, it was storing the value in R5 into 04SP. Where does R5 get instantiated? It gets instantiated at the beginning of that script. Why again? That's not Dio's character ID. I'm pretty, like, 80% sure that's not Dio's character ID. I'm pretty sure it's E. But now I'm not so sure. Actually, no, it's F, isn't it? It's 100% F. No, it's B. Okay. So, not only do I just not remember anything about this game, I'm a bit of a moron. Alright. Then, I don't know what the F is for. Or why it's assigning it here, and what purpose it serves. Oh, you know what? That's the number of projectiles. It's... Dio throws 15 projectiles. That's how many times it repeats the whole thing. That's why. So we'd probably want a routine that only runs once. So it might be better to reference like Hall Horse's 236A routine instead if we're using a base model. Yeah. It is probably the number of knives. Let me actually just test that out really quickly. I forgot that I could do that with FB Neo. You know what? I think I literally have that documented somewhere. I did a thing about that. It's on my stupid Twitter page. Let me... Let me just pause this for a minute. And then, I can see if my computer can handle being on Twitter right now. I don't think it can. It's having a really rough time. Why is it only showing, alright, I guess I'll just check the latest posts then. Scroll through the entire history of my Twitter. Very hype. Thanks, Twitter. Probably would be faster to check, but I need to feel vindicated in knowing that I already found this out. Okay. I think I made that visual. I remember now. Okay, where... Jesus Christ. Where did I put this? It's gotta be somewhere. I know I've done this. Yes, okay. Yeah, I remembered I did this. Okay. This was back in 2021, when I was a much smarter person than I am now. Because I ROM hacked fighting games more than I played them. Alright. Uh... Yep. It was exactly what I thought it was. Projectile count. Cool. Alright. Let me minimize that. And go back. Alright, yeah. So, I'll just quickly document that, so it stores all the essential data and then it runs through all of that stuff. So, definitely would be better to look for a different projectile. Part of me wants to see if I could boot up Gator or Ida to, like, document all that stuff, but I can't. Because my computer's not going to be able to run it with all the stream, or with the stream and everything else I have open. So let me see if there's anything else I can do. Because I'm probably going to do some additional documentation on Ida when I have the opportunity. Maybe Ghidra. But someone else already did some documentation in Ida. Game even better and fun to play? Yeah. I mean, I was mostly joking, to be fair. I was a lot more active in JoJo's then than I am now playing the game. Because that was the year I was, that was around the same time I was playing in, like, Anime Evo, and then later Vortex Gallery, and I just have not really played much outside of that. Now I usually only play if I go to, like, a major or something. Or if, a friend asks. Then I usually boot it up and give it a shot. But now I almost exclusively ROM hack the game rather than play it. Okay. You know what? Let me see if I have any documentation about inputs. Anyway, I was getting distracted. There are two places I might have it documented. Let me see. Miscellaneous CPS3 ROM hacking. This is damage calculation notes, character special moves, explanation behind the Polar shooting star ROM hack. Permanent child form. Oh, this is fire. I didn't document this at all. Yeah, that's fair. I used to do that from time to time. I just don't run back enough either. Don't worry, making silly stuff. Jesus. I forgot how much I use the word such here. It's almost a little excessive. I feel like it almost makes it harder to read. Sounds like I talk with the stick up my butt. Alright, so I have all these particular inputs documented, but I was looking for the ones for the unknown inputs in the hopes that I had that documented. Doesn't look like I did. I'm gonna disable streamer mode. Okay. Whoops. Alright. And then... Oh, right, byte 14. Dude, this is nuts. I can't believe the last time I actually did any ROM hacking was like back in January of this year. What the hell did I do, dude? I've just made no progress on anything else. Alright, I got it. Oh, cool. I didn't document it, like, at all. Sick. Good job, me. Alright, that means that I have to do this, manually. Again. Really, really cool. Let me just close Discord for a moment. Oh god. Oh, did this album finish? It did finish. Uh, hmm. Yeah, okay, I'll give this a shot. Don't let me down, YouTube Mix, even though you probably will. Alright. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do this all manually again, which means... So you can't see it because I minimized Firefox, but inputs for characters are stored in the unit RAM address plus 17D, and unfortunately... Oh, yo! Hey, doing, so basic ROM hacking, I guess. I since JoJo's only uses 4 buttons, at one point I figured out how to add the usage of the other 2 buttons to add functionality for something, but I never documented it, so I don't know how I did it. I didn't even document it in Discord poorly. I I don't I just don't know why I didn't write anything down about it, or thought I would never use it again. Doesn't matter. Uh, I'm god awful at documenting things, and I get told to document them better all the time. Oh, this is watch.7. Actually, since it's a constant feed of input, let me boot up the RAM watch just to demonstrate what is kind of going on here. And then it is a... Is it a 2-byte value? I think it's just 1 byte. Yeah, it's just 1 byte. So I'll add that in. Is the RAM watch wasn't showing up earlier, but now it is. Let me make this a little bigger so you can read it more easily. That might be too big, but it's fine. And then I'll just add comments. That this is player 1 inputs. Just to demonstrate what these values are set to normally. So value of up is 1, 8, 4, 2, for down. Down back is 6, down forward is A, just because it's adding the different values up. So up is 1, and forward is 8, so you can reasonably expect up forward to be 9. You can expect up back to be 5. You can expect down since it's 2, and back since it's 4. Down back is 6. And of course, 8 and 2 make A. And then neutral is 0. I don't know why they did these numbers, but that's just kind of the way they did it. So, after demonstrating that, what we're going to do now is we're going to just quickly run through how the game feeds input or detects input, and then try out the unused buttons to see how those are reported and recorded in the game. Because currently there exists a check where they're not registered, I think. It was something weird I had to figure out, and then I never documented it for some reason. Does debug mode even tell that you can use them? Yes, it does. Debug mode picks up on it because... Let me show FBARR again. So the first unused button, which is medium kick, that pauses the game in debug mode. And then, obviously, if you press heavy kick, this also gets picked up. It slows the game down. This was likely a test for the implementation of Whole Horse's slow bullet. But this does mean you could probably natively adjust the game speed. That there's implementation done for it to slow down and potentially speed up too. Anyway. Let me go back here. Is it? I don't know now. Okay. So very quickly, let me just minimize FBARR. What I did, since you couldn't see name, was I set a watch point for when this RAM address is assigned, or when this RAM address is written to, and I traced all of the instructions run to a text document. Is it possible to rebind the buttons? Yeah, you could probably set them to something else. Those commands. The idea is I'm going to try and, like, use those buttons for the hack that I'm trying to go for, but the first and most important thing I have to do is figure out how to implement that properly. Oh, wait! I didn't even demonstrate the important part. So, directions are registered as the first digit of these bytes. Let me open up the RAM watch. So you'll see, again, the directions we just went over. Buttons are handled differently. Oh, I timed up. You'll see A here is a value of 10. When I'm holding it, at least. So I can just hold it down to demonstrate. And that first digit is how they determine what button you pressed. This is 20. For B, C is 40. S is 80. But you'll also notice that J and K don't do anything. They're not registered as these buttons. And that's what we want to add them for. I don't know why it skips 30. Oh wait, it doesn't skip 30. I forgot. You can press both buttons at the same time and it adds onto them. So you get 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 if you're holding all three buttons. That's why S has to be 80. So you can get C this way, E. Because I have a ghosting keyboard, I can't press all the buttons at the same time, but you can press all four buttons to get F. And actually, now that I think about it, that is probably why it's not picked up that way. I forgot about that, but yeah. So what that means is, actually, I think, let me check something real quick. A09, is it handled as a 2-byte value? Nope. It is. I forgot about that. It is handled as a 2-byte value. So it does pick up, but it's only reading as a byte. So if you read it as a word, then you can kind of pick up on that better. That's something I forgot. Something write a little bit about that again. Alright. They're technically stored as a word. Yeah. So that is 200. I forgot. Alright. Because, again, you can hit... Well, wait a minute. E, F... Yeah, you wouldn't reasonably be able to hit anything different. Nah, yeah, because you can hit one FO, This is why heavy kick occupies a value of 200. Medium kick is 100. Is 1 FO. So we can kind of document all that stuff. So actually the biggest thing is, whenever the game is reading inputs, or at least whenever we want to read inputs, we just read the value as a byte. Not a byte. We read it as a word. And run through a routine to extract... Yeah. So basically what we're going to do, if I can break it down, because I know what it is that we have to do, I'm just trying to find the best way to phrase it. So if you're familiar with a logical AND instruction, what you can do is you AND the contents of both registers. So the value gets converted into binary, and you check if the binary matches. So if both binary values that you're comparing have a 1 in the same place, then a value of 1 is carried over into the final value. If not, if they don't match, it's a value of 0. So what you would end up doing is you'd have, per se, like F00 or something. Or it might be a different... Yeah, it might be different what I'd want to use. But the idea would be you would run through a logical AND instruction to subtract all the values from the next 2 digit places. Like, say you just want to read to make sure that the person pressed medium kick. You would run through that logical AND to get rid of any of the other values, so that it wasn't, per se, if I'm doing heavy kick, you don't need the 30 or 34 or the 8. So we'd want to get rid of 238, for instance, and just check if it's 200. And that's where the logical AND instruction would come into play. Is Road Roller a projectile? Yep, Road Roller is in fact a projectile. It occupies a projectile address. I think. I'm like 90% sure it does. Because it has its own unique sprite, and that unique sprite is at least stored in a projectile. Now I'm curious. You know what? Let me just check to make sure. I don't have meter. I'm gonna restart the game very quickly. Just so I can check for certain. But I'm like 90% sure. Okay. So at the very least, it doesn't occupy that RAM address. Okay. Let me just check FBA real quick. Go into the hit editor. Bring this back down. Unless Road Roller's occupying the stance address? That would be a bit strange if it is, but I guess it's not impossible. Yeah. It should be. It should be why. Could also be that, the Road Roller doesn't have a hurt box. I think Dio is fully invulnerable when he's bringing the Road Roller down. So it could just be because there's a hitbox, the knives lose whatever, like, quote-unquote trade is going on, and that's why they drop, but I don't think so. So, let me just very quickly set a watch point for that the Road Roller to be read from. I'm gonna minimize this, hide it, and then we go back to main. Oh, soft reset is F3. Let me disable that watch point and just enable watch point 9, which would be the code for the frame data of the Road Roller. Okay. There we go. So now, let me check. Two 3481C. 2052D7C. I want to say yes, that it does in fact occupy a projectile address. I am not sure why it occupies this particular projectile address, but yeah. It's occupying a RAM address that isn't used by the player or their stand, so I'm just going to safely wager it is a projectile address. I don't know why it's assigning to that one. I can see though, actually. Let's just quickly figure that out, actually. Swapping character IDs and tile lookup blocks. This is something we can worry about a little later. But now that makes me want to try something funny. That's fine. Okay. So there might be like two things that I want to do before I end the stream if I do decide to end it. Just because there's additional stuff that I want to try in Ghidra or Ida that I cannot do on here because it's not working. But we'll see. Okay. So let me just quickly document the RAM address here. 2052D7C. I want to figure out why Road Roller is being used for that one. Pardon me? Or why that one is being used for Road Roller, I should rephrase it. Oh, damn. But yeah, thanks for coming out. I hope this is at least somewhat useful. But, yeah, nice talking with you. And good luck with going to the grocery store, I guess. Alright. Running through the same basic routine at 482. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it's writing the byte. So it's running through that same routine. But I don't know why it's picking this particular RAM address. So that's what I have to check first, by setting a breakpoint to that address. Oh, Eternal Forest. That's a good one. So it stops at breakpoint B, and it runs this thing here. Someone else would make similar ROM hacks? There is actually someone that is trying to make, they're of a different type of ROM hack, but, Arna is their tag on Discord. Currently, they're working on trying to make a ROM more focused on juggles, including, even untackable resets, while preserving launch scaling. So it's more focused on, combos that allow you to launch the opponent, air stuff that doesn't drop. It kind of changes up combo routing, while still ensuring that you can't infinite someone, because the juggle counter is incrementing. Of course, the way Heritage is juggle counter works is just it adjusts how much the launches. After a certain point, it just becomes a hard knockdown. So it doesn't work like Street Fighter's juggle system, where after a certain point, you just can't hit the opponent anymore. Okay. So it starts here. It definitely would be worth taking a look at this routine. R4 and R1. I'm not sure what the C is used here for. Why it exists. Unless it's just hard-coded to occupy that specific address for some reason. I don't know why it would, though. Moves that value of C. Yeah, that is exactly what's happening for some reason. I don't understand why, but that's what's happening. I'd like to take one more look at this, because it's a little weird to me. So moves the value of 6 here. Oh, because there's the individual projectiles for the wheels, isn't it? The wheels are treated as separate entities. I forgot about that. Where is it? No, it is. 48. Adds R2 to R1 to get that. Then pulls value of 20 there. Make sure it's a good RAM address for projectiles, I guess. Then it pulls the value inside there to R14, and that's a projectile RAM address. Okay. Yeah, so the game just wants to explicitly use that address for some reason. Where with knives, I think it just uses all of them. Let me just quickly experiment with that one more time. That's useful to keep in mind, though. Oh, whoops. See how everything could go wrong during my implementation of this. Definitely worth, worth keeping that in mind. Because if it can go wrong, it will. Oop. Okay, so this is definitely a initialization routine that's fairly universal. Stops at breakpoint B. Okay. Let me just write some quick notes about this. So actually, if I check even, I could probably find the full list of RAM addresses that are used for this. Somewhere in memory, anyway. Maybe not. Who knows? Oh, whoops. I just minimized and closed a bunch of stuff. Well, not closed, but... yeah, its only mention is there. But at least we can see here 203.488C for player 1. Yeah, okay. So this marks the start of every single RAM address for player 1. The first 4 bytes are the starting address, the next 4 bytes are the size, and then I don't know what these 4 bytes are for. Something. Yep. Again, same structure. This is the start of the projectile addresses for player 1. So we can see how many projectile addresses player 1 has access to. Potentially. Tool 5983C. That one is only 15C size. Tool 48C8C. So some of these aren't as big. So some of them do have a size of 15C, which is what I originally thought. But not all of them do. Okay. That's really important to keep in mind. .488C, size of 420, size of 420, and then 204088C, 420. The rest are all sizes of 15C. Shoot. Okay. So that changes things a lot. Yeah, that changes things a lot, actually. So what that means for me is, if I wanted, I could use those two main projectiles to store the player, to store the 2v2, the second player and their assist. Because it's allocated 420 bytes in memory. But not all of them do. Most of them occupy only 15C bytes in memory. I still don't know what the next value after that does. Unless that's the default, where they're stored in. That could be a pointer. So we have one 5C here, one 5C here. This one just randomly occupies 420 in memory. Alright. Don't know why, but I will accept it. This one is 160 for some reason. Don't know what it needs that for. Could be a lessies or something. I don't know. I really don't know. Important things I gotta figure out are... So how many projectile RAM addresses are there even in this? This one is also 15C. X203590C. Also 15C. This is 160. For some reason, I still don't know why. This is 15C as well. FC. This is 15C as well. And that's it. That's the end of those RAM addresses, but that's not even 15. That's 11. So, that's an important question. What the hell happens with all the other RAM addresses? Does it pull from a different list of RAM addresses? Okay. Oh, this is a decent cover. If I played this, I would be a real video essayist. And maybe I'll do that eventually, once I get around to making that video, which I should have finished a long time ago. Alright. So I think basically what I'm just gonna have to do is skip to knife init and just take a look at every single RAM address that knives occupies here. Stops at breakpoint C. Alright, let me... projectile notes. 236 AA notes. All RAM addresses used by knives. 20501 FC. And... is that even... yeah. That's the very last one on the list. Alright. Let's check the next one. X23590C. This is also used in the list. Okay, cool. And what's next? C. It's the same. Why is it the same? I don't understand. 2035A68. I don't think that's... yeah, that one is not used. So, where is it pulling that one from? Is there like another set of RAM addresses? Okay. 2035A68. Yeah, it just doesn't list it anywhere in memory. Why doesn't it list it? That's really weird. Okay, Hmm. Okay. Let me keep thinking. Let me keep thinking. Oh. Yeah, 2035, A68. I guess I'll just go through and record every RAM address like I said I would. Okay, so it initializes those. Let's head back to breakpoint C. 203, 848C. Then it checks it again, which moves it on to the next RAM address, 20388AC. Okay, so I'll record that that's pre versus post flash, and then why is it doing 203.848C again? 203.88AC. Oh, because it's running through every single one. 203.8CCC. Okay, cool. OEC. Okay. D 4C. Alright. 9D4C. Let's check the next one. 203A16C. So it's pretty clear that they go in order when it's initializing the knives at that point, but before that, I don't know what friggin' order they're doing, dude. Weird as hell. And I don't know what those are used for anyway. Alright. So I could take a look at that, figure out what they're used for. What is this? Oh, a gallery plane. Then you roll through every single one again. A16C. A58C. ADCC. Let's keep checking. 203B1EC. Oh, 3B1EC. A60C. One, two, three, four, 6. Alright, that should be all the knives that are used in that routine. So maybe the last thing I'll figure out for this stream would just be to understand what those 3 RAM addresses at the start are used for. 20501FC, 203.590C, and 203.5A68. What the heck those are used for? Because I don't know. And things I'd like to check. Yeah, those are not linked up. Okay. Yeah. Does not seem to show up in the ROM, where it's initialized at least. Okay. So actually, can I even tell what the storage size of it is? I don't know. I don't know. Yo, you came at the tail end of the stream, so I do apologize for that. Big thing I wanted to take a look into was, wanted to get a refresher on how inputs work and how inputs are handled in the game. And then on top of that, I also wanted to take a look at projectiles. So, back when I had originally thought that projectiles occupied 420 RAM addresses like they do with players, that's not entirely true. Only about 2 of them do, to my knowledge, and the rest occupy a size of 15C bytes. Fortunately, that shouldn't be anything to worry about, because if we treated those 2 extra projectiles with the 420 in hex bytes of memory, that could be utilized for what I'm trying to do. Still. Yeah, it's been 100 minutes in. It's not a big deal. This was not a... I don't know if... This probably was a more productive stream than last time, but, I don't know. I was originally planning to stream yesterday, I got sick. So I don't know if I'm gonna finish this by the new year, but hopefully this will be a project for, if not done by the new year, then at the start of the new year. Alright. The main thing is I just want to know what these 3 RAM addresses are used for, because Dio's knives, there's 15 of them in stand-on, and these are all the RAM addresses documented that store the knives. There's also the greater difference that these 3 happen pre-Superflash, and I don't know what they're used for. I know how big they are. Which is why I'm going to set a watch point for when they are read from and written to. It's reading the... Okay. Yeah, it's reading to see if it exists. Great. Okay. Oh, does it read it every time? Yeah, that's not going to be helpful if I set it that way. For when it's written to and read from. What is it storing, though? So this might be a job for FBA instead. Funnel Burn Alpha. What is it? Okay. Is it 205? Yeah. Let me see what this 20501FC plus 90. See what it contains in it. Okay. I'm just gonna say question mark because I don't know what sprite it contains, what this projectile is for. All the ones post Super Flash are pretty obvious. They're just for the knife projectiles themselves, because that's when they're instantiated. (69B9ECO). I feel like that is the same as what I was looking for. I don't have FBA showing, do I? Nope. Nor do I have the RAM watch. Whoops. So let me go ahead and check that real quick then. Go over to DO. So I don't know what they're there for if not to exist as sprites to display Dio holding the knives. Don't know what they're being used for. Okay, let's keep looking. (69P9EC0). Is that really what it was storing? Something about that doesn't seem right. What would that be? Alright, well, let me go ahead and hide the RAM watch right now, and then check this in Xcopy, because I don't know what the heck it would be used for. Open up the 20 file. Maybe find the sprite that way, assuming... Okay, 1B9 ECO. Oh, this is one of those shortened routines for projectile initialization. Let me see if Object Editor would be a better help here. Here is the world. Wait a minute. This is for the Super Flash, isn't it? It's setting those values up for Super Flash. I didn't think about that, but yeah, it's for Super Flash. There's a very high chance it's for Super Flash. I could be wrong, though. This is probably Dio's is it? Is it Dio's versus portrait? It might be. Or Dio's, like... Let me see. Yep. It's what I thought it was. That stuff is for Super Flash. 6F56 430. Okay. Not a big issue then. Nothing to worry about. But, good to document, I guess. That's nice. The other thing I want to check, actually, last and final thing I want to check, probably before I end the stream, so you can see here, there's a sequence of a fair amount of memory addresses and their storage. This is not all the projectile memory addresses, though, for some reason. But, it is, some of them used for player 1. So I want to see if something similar like this exists for player 2. But it's very possible it doesn't, actually. Okay. So let me take a look at what addresses player 2 uses. 204.088C. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't use any of the shared ones. Probably because it doesn't have to. But let me see where, 200E9E8. Or actually E9C4. I want to figure out where this stuff is written to. Ah. Seems redundant in a way for it to exist. What thing? Oh, the list. Yeah, it is redundant, but JoJo's is pretty redundant a lot of the time. Like the fact that not necessarily. Special move inputs, the way it handles that is it stores the pointers to every single special move input check routine in RAM addresses, even though they're all ordered out in a list already. So you don't even need those RAM addresses for that purpose. You could just check directly in memory. So I just kind of assumed, oh, because they do it this way for that thing, they probably do it this way here as well. There's a lot of times where they'll write stuff to memory when it could really just be one ROM pointer, add the offset that you want to get the correct pointer. Like, they'll store the pointer list in ROM, and then they'll translate it over to memory, but they'll only read the one from memory, even though they could just read the one in the ROM. Maybe there's a better reason that I'm not thinking of because I'm a little dumb. But if there is, I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's pretty sick. Much thanks to Capcom. Okay. The next thing it's doing is storing that in 8.2020 and E9CC. Don't know why they gotta do that, but okay. Oh, you can't see MAME anymore. Right. Whoops. But yeah, Ron, what's your, Romhacking question? Oh, you're not seeing the debugger? On the RGA games. I see. I don't want to sound like an expert on this, because I gotta be honest. The only games I've really ROM hacked are CPS3 stuff. I've taken a look at CPS2, but I've never touched Neo Geo. So I honestly have no idea how you would go about finding that, unless there was already information, like, documented about it. Like, maybe you could take a look at how other games were modded to correct that, but... Oh yeah, you couldn't see the main window. I don't know, and I don't want to give an estimate on how easy or difficult it could be, because I don't know how old Neo Geo games handle inputs, or anything about how they're structured for that matter. Using the debugger is not too bad, but the difficult part is always finding out, like, finding what you want to find, and I just cannot guarantee anything. I'm sorry. I don't want to give you any wrong information. If you know a little bit about how the game handles inputs, that might help. Your best bet is probably just to figure out how the game is reading inputs in the first place by using like a RAM search tool to figure out what the RAM addresses are that are storing player input, and from there, figure out how they're being written to inside MAME, and trace back further until you can identify diagonals. Take a look at how other modded games resolved that, and try and re-implement the same fix. Does that all make sense? The last part's really all you need to keep in mind. Just a combination of using a RAM watch tool, RAM search tool, to figure out where the inputs are being stored in RAM, memory. Oh, there's wikis for... Oh, there is a Neo Geo ROM hacking wiki? RAM Maps Online? Yeah, definitely look into that. Get as much information as you can about that stuff, see if there's a RAM map online for inputs, and then just take a look at, yeah. Yeah, absolutely take a look at that address for inputs. If you're not sure how they went about implementing the fix, take a look at the modded games and examine the memory map for that. Check what they did to the code. Compare the original with the new version. If the input checks are universal between Neo Geo games, that's another thing worth looking at as well. I wouldn't know the link. I didn't know that existed, but when if you have it, I don't know if you're able to post links in YouTube chats. Hopefully, because that actually would be pretty cool. I've never looked into an SNK game before, but maybe it'd be neat. What was I doing again? Oh yeah. So I don't remember the exact number of addresses that are available for projectiles, but I think in the event that it overrides the yeah, in the event that there's too many projectiles to the point where they have to reference the player to start, I think it ends up working out fine. It just, like, the game is coded to accommodate for it. It just means that you can't use the ones that you would have liked. So all that being said, I think... What else could I look into for next time? I should probably write that up. Don't need to worry about that. We have a pretty good understanding of how the lookup blocks are assigned. It's in the routine right before the universal one. So it's a character-specific thing. I looked into DOs mostly for stand-on knives, but there's better ones to look into. Notably, whole horses, just because that's one singular projectile. So that would be better to use than DOs, which just runs a loop 15 times. But it's helpful regardless. I'm going to also see if I can do some additional documentation in IDA or Ghidra. But unfortunately, with the amount of stuff I have open, my computer can't boot up Ghidra. It will just not be able to boot up the database. There's not enough available memory. So that's cool. I looked into the unused buttons for inputs. Maybe... And then the only other thing I'd want to do is... So that's the big thing. Just need to figure out how to set up X velocity in such a way where the assist will appear at whatever the player's location was. And it adjusts the X velocity accordingly in order to meet that. Ghidra has a module for the CPS3 ASM. It supports SH2, which is about the limits of it. I don't think it has anything deeper than that other than it recognizes SH2 assembly code, and you can decompile it that way because SH2 is used for a lot of other stuff beyond just CPS3. But it doesn't have any further support for CPS3, at least to my knowledge. Maybe it does, I haven't actually asked. And I am still fairly new to, like, Ghidra IDA, because I was too stubborn to learn them and just stuck with main debugger and Xcopy and all that stuff. definitely not the right choice, but I'm trying to force myself to learn them more. Yeah, no, it is pretty cool. I think the pseudocode that it sometimes will disassemble into isn't the most helpful, but for the purpose of documentation, it's useful-ish. It depends, I think. At least in the past, when I was trying to use a previous version of Ghidra I had installed, it didn't decompile super duper well. Just wrote the routines in hex by hand. That's also what I've been doing. I gotta figure out a better way to do things. That would be really cool. If I was able to write stuff in like pseudocode or like C and then compile it down to hex, that would be awesome. But I don't think I can. Well, I guess I shouldn't count that out yet. I just don't know what the process would be, because we tried to figure that out at some point, I think, a few people, and then never got very far. And me, not the best at figuring out that sort of thing. Really, my only strong suit is in identifying stuff, like knowing how to use MAME debugger. But there are definitely far more accomplished ROM hackers. Like I don't know if you have access to Big Dan's server, but or Drew DOS. Now it's still called Big Dan. But Bank is doing some crazy stuff with widescreen, implementing it for many of the CPS2 games supported in Funnel or Neo. Got it working for Puzzle Fighter. It's kind of crazy. Like, really impressive stuff. And then I think TV Industries has been doing some cool stuff with yeah, no, it would be pretty neat. I can invite you. It seems like people just get invited quasi at random. It's well, thank you. I think I have a good understanding of how JoJo's works. Definitely other things I gotta learn more about though. I'm a long ways from being a expert ROM hacker in general. Mm. Shoot. But, I guess at this point... Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can DM me. I think I can invite you at least. I don't know who's been inviting people, but, like, a bunch of people have just been hopping in at random. This is mostly a server for another project, but Bank has been documenting a lot of their progress on other stuff here. So I think I can invite people. Damn. That's a... that is a tag. Yo. But yeah, as for the contributing stuff, you don't have to worry about contributing anything. To be honest, I have not done much in a while. You can see that so little activity has happened in the Heritage server, or the Heritage page, that, Discord changed their stuff, I just found all 32 characters. That's fair. That's very fair. But yeah, the last time anyone talked in the Heritage channel was 2021, when I posted the Roman cancel thing. Otherwise, it has just been welcoming people to the server. It's pretty funny. Maybe a little sad. A lot of things I gotta figure out, though. Like being able to actually compile instead of writing this garbage by hand. Alright. All that being said, I think I'm in a pretty decent spot to end the stream for now. So, thanks for tuning in. I'll see if I can get more work done on this later today, mostly in terms of documentation. But, yeah. Oh, it might be private. Because at one point the server was private, so the channel probably is just not accessible for a lot of people. I think most of the other stuff is, though. Like, Red Earth, Third Strike, CPS Wide. That's cool, and the Bees. Third Strike Plus stuff. 3+ characters. Progress is a little slow. But yeah. Don't know about a compiler. Best to do that stuff by hand. Yeah. I know, Drew Doss mentioned you can use, Super AS to assemble from, I think you can assemble from hex or assembly code into... You can write... I don't know what I'm phrasing it as. I'd have to look into that. But maybe there's an easier way to do it instead of just writing the stuff by hand. Oh, Super BAS, which is... But, yeah, I'll look into that stuff at a later date. Anyway, since I haven't done any ROM hacking for a bit now, I'll probably go ahead and end off the stream. But, thank you guys for tuning in. And I'll see you around. Hopefully tomorrow. Yeah, hopefully. I'll see you around. Thanks for stopping by. And thank you to